Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds, and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and it's been a little while, but last time we thought that we were going to go into what was perhaps about to be the much anticipated Gurnakor encounter. Turned out, that was not the case. Now we just fought a 250 power colossal fiend, or giant fiend, something like that. It was cool, but it was not really what we were expecting to run into here. So that Gurnakor encounter still awaits us, and we did also, I believe, earn for the first time in a very long time a new weapon, new leader ability for Meve, and it's pretty crazy. This Granny Blade, shuffle an ally unit into your deck and play 2 cards from your deck, then trigger all the loyal abilities, cooldown 6, so very long cooldown. Basically, I guess the idea there is it gives you the chance to either recycle one of your really powerful cards and, replay it, or at least you have a chance of replaying it. Either, you get that as one of the other 2 cards, you basically put it back in and immediately replay it, or you play it in a later round from your deck, or, you eventually draw into it if you have a multiple round encounter. But, yeah, that's very different, stylistically, than the other leader abilities that we've seen in the past, which are basically just all iterations of deal damage to your opponent by a certain amount, or way back in the longsword days, boost our units. We've also made a lot of changes to our cards, or other cards, in our deck as well, so lots of changes there, and I don't really think we had settled on what the best combinations of those cards were, or the best way to play all those cards, so especially given how it has been, I think at this point, about a month since we last did any Thronebreaker. Can't exactly say that I'm feeling particularly confident about how I'm going to perform with said deck, because there is still a lot that we've yet to determine how we ought to design the deck and use it. But this is the first time in basically our entire playthrough that we've actually had choices when it comes to our deck design. So that is a new challenge, and an interesting one nonetheless. As for what we're actually planning to take on today, though, that is a good question, because we have a couple of question marks over here. I think this one we had been to before. This was just a trade of some variety that we did not like so much at the time. That might have been the case here as well. I thought we had been to that spot. Maybe I'm misremembering, though. I thought that was a place where we had people who supported Gurnakora, who hated us. Or maybe that was, and they tried to chase us off, and then we ran away and did other encounters instead, which was in part why we thought this might have been Gurnakora. But alas, it wasn't. We do still have this encounter back here. This is another place where people, who was very much so, where people supported Gurnakora and did not like us opposing her. But this battle was a Nilfgaardian one that was particularly tricky. We've not tried it since doing all of our various deck reworks, so it may be worth giving that a shot soon, although then again, maybe best to do a few more tests with our deck to figure out how to use it before we get into that again. So I guess we're going for this, and we're not that far away from the main quest over here either, which of course I'm assuming would be pretty big. I'm assuming that Gurnakor is not a main quest mission, because most of the major encounters with the beasts, as there's basically like one big beast of some variety in basically every location thus far, those have, for example, like Keltullus, those have all been optional before.
Angren renders charts helpless to show the way, I fear. Soon we shall halt to sight our exact position. We will know then if our path is true.
As you wish, Your Grace.
Okay, is that supposed to mean that our map is inaccurate? Okay, hold on. Have we even checked what was over here? Also, for what it's worth, we did, at one point in time, suspect that we were going to run into a hidden treasure chest in that area where we were saying we thought we might encounter Gurnakor. It did not end up happening, so I think we might, let's just a quick check for our treasure maps. Yeah, we still have this one with the Elven engraving. So still on the lookout for that, and I don't really know, given how, oh, that was supposed to be map. I don't really know where that might be, because I mean, at least from the appearance on the map, it certainly seems to resemble what we were seeing there. Otherwise, that doesn't look elven. So way out ahead somewhere? I mean, not really seeing anything that looks like Elven Ruins. So that may require that we double back at some point and just be a little more thorough. I think we were kind of thorough checking around this area previously to see if that was going to be where we found that hidden chest, but maybe it was somewhere earlier. Like, I mean, this doesn't look that dissimilar, to use a double negative. It does look similar to the picture in that map, that treasure map. We tried that? We probably did at the time, but maybe not when we first encountered it, but I don't know if we explored that spot since we picked up the treasure map, and I think we've learned that it's not possible to uncover hidden treasure chests that require a map unless and until you actually have that map, even if you go to the right place preemptively. But anyways, so yeah, that might be a double back later to do it kind of thing. But you also have a fair bit of resources here. We might be able to make an upgrade soon, but I think we proceed here. We see what the deal is with this question mark. I'm kind of hoping that it is an encounter in which I guess we're using our starting deck rather than a deck that is given to us, and that it's, but at the same time, it's a fairly easy encounter, so we can just test out what we have a little bit more, because as I was saying, it feels like I could certainly use that for any of a number of reasons. We have found a new point of interest here. They're two right on top of each other, one of which is a large tree. I'm suspicious. I'm very suspicious. I'm very... Oh, I keep on clicking on this instead of the map. I'm very suspicious right now. Getting some not so positive vibes. Oh, okay. This area you can only get to via this bridge. I think I had assumed or thought that there was some connection here that we might have done before, which would have potentially led us here. So I don't think we've been here in that case, because it would have had to have gone through here after all. Yeah, so I think this is actually a pretty humongous encounter, perhaps. What kind of humongous encounter, you ask? Perhaps the one that we've alluded to, outright mentioned on several previous occasions.
Sensing a limp in her mount's gait, Meve ordered the column to halt.
Oh, we've not.
There was a thorn in her mare's hoof.
We still have the druids with us, don't we? Nothing has happened with them yet.
Pulled her leg away, but
Suspicious.
Meve knew how to calm her. She stroked the mare's cheek, whispered slow words in her ear. She then extracted the thorn without difficulty.
Okay. Okay, I feel like we've seen this name before. This might have even been the name of the encounter when we first saw the druids, and the reason why that came to mind in the first place was because this certainly looks like them. And I don't know, that we saw the druids, we encountered them before we learned of Gurnakora's presence in this area, is that right? I don't remember what the exact order was, because, you know, I feel like we might have treated them a little bit differently had we known at the time that Gurnakora was out and about. Because, you know, we might have been a little more hesitant to have them join the squad in that case. And now that we've not really seen anything happen with them for quite a long time at this point, and we are still awaiting our encounter with Gurnakora, which is surely gonna happen soon, right? Right? Does make me increasingly nervous about what role those druids will have to play.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
said the druid from behind Meve's back.
yet this is where our paths diverge. We've a
Okay.
modest gift to thank you for the road shared, and for
Oh.
your aid at the obelisk to the marsh gods.
Meve wished to respond,
Okay.
but the druids had turned toward the woods, their satchels slung over their shoulders.
Okay.
Jane waited till they were out of sight to open the bundle. Their gift was by no means modest.
Was what, 100 gold or 100 wood, and then something like 375 of the other resource? Which is, I mean, it's not a humongous amount. It's roughly the amount we get from finishing an encounter of some variety, right? Is that really all with them? So that's odd. Usually when we do bring some other person or group of people along with us, there's a little more involvement with them than that. Because that was basically just there are reasons to bring them, or the reasons to trust them, reasons not to trust them when it comes to whether we ought to have them join our group or not. But then a few steps along the way that kind of test our faith in said person or group of people and then ultimately a deciding encounter in which they either, you know, it absolutely backfires on us, or if we stay faithful to them, it ultimately pays off. And there's just no middle encounter there. I don't think there's really anything leading up to this that involved the druids. Just the first encounter and the last encounter.
The trees no longer wish us here. They call for someone else.
But yeah, it does still make me wonder if they may have a tie to Gurnakora, as it seems like just about everybody here that we've run into, all the humans at least, have, right?
This land is sick, defiled by a parasite that grows hungrier each day. Corruption flows from Isgith. It's there an evil lurks.
Okay.
The trees no longer wish us here. They call
Okay,
for
we've heard
someone
that.
else.
So, we have this encounter right here. This I'm very suspicious of. We have gotten a little bit more in the way of resources, but I don't know. I'm intrigued by this in large part because I feel like we might want to delay this a little bit more, because this might be a humongous encounter. But then again, what do I know? What do I know? Potentially very little. And by potentially very little, I mean basically nothing, because I have not played Thronebreaker before. Okay, is that another shrine? We were very light on shrines early on in Ongren, but they've all been coming to us very late. We just had one way at the beginning, didn't we? Or not even. 1, 2, and then this is our third. Usually by this point we'd have probably 1 or 2 more than that in other locations. So we have been trying to hold on to them because we've been suffering from low morale for a while on our time in Ongren. It seems like that's quite common for that to happen to us here. We did, after finishing our previous encounter, we might have finished that one on low morale, but it did get us back up to neutral. So I think we'll, once again, as usual, try to hold back and save these and see if we could use them later on if we absolutely need them, because that might be the only... might be necessary for some encounters. All right, that is like screaming at me as this is the place. That I think is where Gurnakora is. To pull back the veil. So what a bit the worst kept secret. In case that wasn't blatantly obvious, that's what I was thinking this might have been. It might still be, but I think that other spot might actually be more likely still. Okay, this is just, Your Grace. One of our scouts has discovered a tree hollow filled with gold and precious stones. When he reached in to fetch one, all he got was his own bloody stump of a hand. Oh, yikes! There's something inside that tree, and it's got some very sharp teeth. Wow, that is an expensive cost. 7 recruits, and low morale for just 50 coins. Whatever it is, rather not see it in all its glory, we leave it be. Or... not sure why. I mean, there have definitely been times where it has made sense for it to be an Ake type of situation where he could, you know, sort some problem, or, you know, fight some beast that perhaps other people would be too afraid to fight. This is not so much a question of fear. So I feel like that's generally the thing that distinguishes, and his, you know, his honor and what have you, but generally, he's very brave relative to the average soldier. But this is not so much a question of bravery. You know, what about Ake is going to make him magically not lose his hand when he sticks it in this tree stump? This feels like it's more a question, like, if anything, an Isbel situation, where she might have the knowledge it takes to figure out how to stop this thing with, you know, some kind of incantation. But, I mean, on one hand, we have not crafted a single card thus far, so by that metric, we don't really need the recruits, but it's kind of nice to hold on to them in case there's a later occasion on which we need to dramatically upgrade our deck. But yeah, I guess really the low morale is a bigger question in that case. We did just encounter another one of the shrines, though. It just feels like this is such a terrible exchange rate here. 7 recruits, which are usually the hardest to come by for just 50 gold. But, I mean, as we said, recruits don't mean much to us. Don't mean much to us if we are never going to craft cards. So we're going to do it anyway. Even though by almost, in any other situation for any other player, I imagine that is a pretty bad deal. Now what I'm worried about, though, is that I think this is going to be perhaps the biggest encounter we've had thus far in Ongren, and we're about to go into it on low morale, which is probably not a good way to set ourselves up for success. But, alright. Only one way to know for certain. Is this what I think it is? Because I think it is. Okay. Dancing people.
I don't fancy twigs, but you're ever good for pokes, and I'm arsehole with tits.
Meve and the horseman beside her exchanged a perplexed glance.
Hold on.
They'd heard the song clearly.
Don't
both
let
its
your guard
tune
down.
And its verse. Whoever had hollowed it had to be close, and given their diction, rather well oiled.
I mean, it seems so innocent, but that's how they get you, right?
Moments later, a hamlet appeared to the Lyrians' tired eyes. A great bonfire blazed at its center. Around it danced peasants, barefoot, giggling, hooting, joyful and carefree.
Only because Kernakor let them do that.
Soon, all were silent, huddled together, children peering from behind their backs.
And they hate us because we have revealed ourselves as opposition toward Gernakora.
Fear not,
Said Meve.
we mean you no harm. What do you celebrate? A lad's grooming? Nuptials?
Nay, my lady. Hell yes. The gods have been kind. Filled us nets and snares with game. Come time we thank them.
Yes. You've things to be thankful for.
We do, my lady. And we's poor folk. So a queen. Well, you must as well. Your Majesty, stay tonight, feast with us. There'll be music and plenty of rum by the fire.
It all just seems way too good to be true. Way too good to be true. Given everything that has happened, not a single thing in Ongren that we've encountered thus far has been positive. Even the seemingly great opportunity to spend the night with in what was the I mean, palace is a strong word, but the fortification at the very least that Gimpy Gerwin had. Even that was like, oh yeah, no, but this guy's a terrible person who, if you make him angry, will potentially kill all of your soldiers, or at least torture them. So, there has to be a catch, right? There has to be a catch, but I guess we have to see. We'll just have to see.
Why not?
Began Meve, daintily.
I mean, we are on low
We
morale.
all deserve some respite, I suppose.
We could use some
Lyrians needed
respite.
No convincing. With astonishing haste, they removed mail and helmets, then eagerly joined in the
But
fated
that's how
dance.
they get ya.
Amidst the trilling of flutes, fifes, and fiddles, all those gathered reveled until dawn. They could rest at last.
Until
forget about Nilfgaard and the many beasts that prowled among the reeds.
Nilfgaard and the Beast showed up.
The carefree laughter, peasant maids whirling in dance. The ale cold as a mountain spring, and the bread they crisped over the fire.
No. Surely not, right? What?
One exchange in particular
Oh.
etched itself
Oh,
into
okay.
the queen's mind.
Hold on.
An exchange she overheard.
Okay, it is very unusual for us to go to this type of screen here. Usually only happens when we have someone very important to converse with. So, okay. This is perhaps...
Not a little. Not even a teeny tiny bit.
what I was expecting? Rainer's like, nah, I don't party.
I'll say it again. It's not your concern.
Oh?
Of course it's not. Wouldn't be so damn curious if it were. So be it. Keep your silence. But those eyes like the summer sky, That hair like waves of grain. I see the way you gape.
What? What's going on here? Is Reynard, does he have his eyes on someone? Do we know if Reynard has a significant other?
What do you two speak of?
Your Majesty.
Is Reynard eyeing Meve?
Couldn't have answered that better myself.
I mean, it seems like perhaps Reynard just answered the question. Is that not what just happened?
Who does Reynard gape at?
Your Majesty, is what it sounds like. Just repeats it.
The new ballista, what else? Ah, what a piece of work. Pure art, I say. Can't tear your eyes away for an instant.
I'm getting a feeling this is a metaphor.
Haven't you two held enough from me already?
Oh, okay, so now it's Gascon who's... That's not often he's lost for words.
Don't play me for a fool. What's this about?
Come on, guys.
Meve, honestly, you do better to...
Reynard. I think we know, but...
It's a private matter, Your Grace. One of the heart, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd allow it, I'd rather not share the details of our conversation.
All right. I'll leave you to discuss whatever men discuss. Consider me gone.
Then she secretly just turns around and hides behind the closest tree and leans in with her hand over her ear, tries to see if she can catch what they're still talking about.
Meve turned and walked back to the fire, sat down on an old stump.
And...
Ha! That was close.
Shh. She can still hear.
And the faintest of smiles crossed her lips. Meve expected the villagers to request recompense for their welcome. Yet the peasants made not the slightest mention of coin, and the queen was much moved by their kindness. Once again, those with the least had proved the most willing to share. The Lyrians did not assemble come the morn. The force marched off in the afternoon, unshaven, unbathed, disheveled. Not normally one to overlook contempt for discipline, that day Meve understood even soldiers needed to let their guard down, at times.
Okay. Huh? Okay. I mean, just thinking back to every single encounter we've ever had in Thronebreaker, I don't know if there's ever been a time where we showed up someplace and we didn't have, we had a choice of whether to go here or not, but there was no downside. It's all positive. All positive. Like in some cases, maybe yes, if we did some things proactively to set ourselves up for success, but to just randomly come across a place and for every single person that we meet to be friendly to us, and in this case, I mean, sure, like high morale, it boosted us from low to neutral. Not as if that's an absolute game changer, or it did just lower our morale with a previous encounter, but it's just, there's always a catch. There's always a catch in Thronebreaker. So to not have one here seems odd, and does make me wonder if is that truly the case? Is this just to have us let our guard down right before a much harsher encounter, or is this truly tied to something else that we just don't know about yet? And by having spent time here, that will still backfire on us on a later occasion for reasons that we don't yet understand.
Admire, ample harvest yield, for our mistress all need be kneeled.
Yeah, cause like, I'm still thinking that these people probably are thralls of Gurnakor of some variety, even if they have been very welcoming thus far.
Round my garden appeared an eager leech, and I offered a drink,
Yeah, cause like, these conversations, they don't feel nearly as innocent as the first perception of this area the first bits of this encounter might have suggested they would end up being. And we've heard that. But these are all the mistress, the leeches. These references are not lost on me. These allusions.
Ugly bad, play us more your prose. Sing again, we'll dance a bit, and then we'll fix your nose.
Okay, that one's more innocent, I suppose, or at least not as directly tied to Gurnakora. Okay. Hidden chests? I just don't know who to trust in Ongren anymore. Even the people who seem nice, you just never know. You really just never know. This is totally gonna be a place where there's something, either here or on this obscure little bridge here. No? No? Treasure chests that will have something here in the future, perhaps? Why else would this very large little dock area, large little lids, it's a large dock area. Why would it exist in that obscure location, hidden from the other spots, if not to have some sort of loot? All right. I mean, at this point, maybe I've just been completely bamboozled, and it is truly, purely a positive encounter, but I still don't trust it. We do have this main quest location over here. That is, I mean, perhaps going to be our next big thing. I don't think this is going to be Gurnakor. As I said before, I think Gurnakor is going to be a side quest, technically speaking, although one of, if not the biggest side quest in this area, of course, so not entirely sure where she's going to end up being in that case. And, yeah, I guess that means there really isn't too much else for us to do besides either this main quest here or going back to the Nilfgaard encounter over here, which, as I was saying before, it was very difficult at the time. Our deck has changed significantly, but it's hard to say one way or another if our deck is better, air quotes, at least in its current state. When I better understand how to play it properly, it probably will be, but that is certainly not the case at the moment. So I'm, for that reason, a little reluctant to just go straight into that right now. As I was saying, I was really hoping we were going to get some kind of side quest, new side quest that was going to give us an opportunity to use our own deck, but not be too difficult, so we could at least just get a little chance to test out some stuffs. But perhaps no such opportunity will arise here, in which case... Oh. Well, this doesn't look good. Oh, this is the spot where we're expecting to find the main quest mission right here, because I remember seeing the mention of that castle by that name. But I just want to take a quick check at our workshop. So we did get some more resources recently, and as I said, we have been accumulating a decent amount of stuffs. And again, like, we could make these upgrades that will reduce the... Actually, this does still affect us at the moment, right? Because even if we don't craft things, we will continue to, hopefully, gain cards from other encounters, heroes that tend to have high recruit cap costs. So this does still affect those, and make it easier for us to load our deck with strong cards. So there is still some reason to take this, even if it's not a humongous difference maker. And at the moment, I think recruit cap is not a major concern because we have increased our recruit cap all the way up to 300. So I think what we were really thinking was, that's not a huge deal, because if we're never going to create units, then that doesn't affect us at all. But it does unlock this, which is a very expensive from a wood standpoint upgrade. Certainly that is. But it is a way to, one of the few ways to make our deck stronger, even if we don't craft more cards of our own. So that is a rare opportunity. Can we actually, hold on. So we can afford this. That gets us down to less than 500 gold. We actually could go all the way over to Palisade, then surely, yeah, there's no way we can afford this from a wood standpoint, or a gold standpoint, although that'd be a little bit closer at least. So, I mean, we could do that. It's not as if we are in desperate need, oh, well. It's not as if we're in desperate need of lowering our recruit cap or increasing our total recruit cap, but reducing our recruit cap cost, I should say, of units, or increasing our available recruit cap points. But we want to make sure we have at least some resources available in case we do find ourselves in desperate need of crafting units. So if we were to do this, we would spend 2,750 gold, which gets us very low on gold. We would have some, but probably only enough to craft 1, maybe 2 units. There may have been some that didn't require any gold at all, but, you know, what are the chances those are the types of units that are going to bail us out of a situation if we do find ourselves getting stuck? So just want to be careful that we don't, soft lock ourselves, basically, by doing that. But then from a wood standpoint, we'd be spending also 2,750. We have more wood than we have gold right now, so that would not be as much of a concern. Obviously, recruit cap, that's not an issue right now. So, yeah, the gold makes me a little reluctant to do that. Let's just double check what exactly is the cost of crafting these guys from a gold standpoint. Yeah, on the order of 100. At least for some of them. 225, I think that's, a more expensive one, but still. This is comparatively much cheaper, much more on the wood cost. So basically what I'm just checking here is, if we were to make those 2 upgrades right now, might we find ourselves in a situation where we are not strong enough to complete any of the encounters in front of us, and not having enough resources to craft anything to remedy that situation, because then we're basically stuck. And that's no good. So, yeah, we could probably fine-tune our deck further, because we do still have more cards available to us that we just unlocked recently, and we've not really found out how best to use them right now. So maybe that gives us enough confidence to make a move here. That, and we do have a main quest mission coming up very soon, and that, I mean, not all the times, but fairly often it seems like the main quest gives us either a totally different deck, or at least new cards added to our deck specific to that encounter. So that might give us a rare opportunity to earn some additional resources without being completely reliant on our existing deck. So, tell you what, we'll do it. We'll do this. And it does actually, I mean, short term, obviously it costs a lot of gold, but it does reduce the gold cost of creating units, so numbers we're just looking at would go a little bit lower still, but this does still scare me. 170, yeah, like there are some units that we wouldn't even be able to craft at all. We do still have some locations where we can make exchanges of some variety. I don't remember if they are selling gold to gain wood or vice versa. Here, and wasn't there one more? Here? This might have been sacrificing recruits to get stuff, so I guess that's also potentially a way to get ourselves a little bit unstuck if we run into a bit of a wall. But I'm hoping that this main quest, which I'm thinking will probably be the next encounter that we do, I'm hoping that we can still get the job done there without needing to resort to, of course, getting any units, or creating any new units, because that's not allowed, or at least we'd like to not have to do that. But with that being said, I think this is probably still a good place for us to stop here, because, I have no idea how long that encounter might be, but seeing as how it's a main quest encounter, that might be a very, very extended thing for us to get ourselves into. So let's save that one for next time. But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.